I'd like to welcome you to the Bowie City Council meeting for February 4th. I'd like to ask those that can to stand as we start every meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you could remain standing for 1 minute. This past Saturday, we had a terrible traffic accident in the city of Bowie on 301. And it has taken the lives of 5 children and put 2 adults in serious condition at the hospital. One of the adults and 2 of the children are Bowie residents. The other adult and the other children are DC residents, but it's the same family. So it's a tremendous tragedy, for the Dixon family that has now lost 5 members. So we'd like to ask everybody in the room if we could kind of just take a moment of silence and give our prayers and thoughts to the family. Thank you. All right, Council, with no objection, I want to add a swearing in for the gentleman we approved in last week's meeting for the EOC under city boards and attendance. Are there any other agenda additions, deletions, or amendments? Have people signed up to speak, Madam Clerk? As I invite you to the podium, we'll get you in a second. Okay. When I call your name, if you would come to the podium, give us your name and speak into the microphone so the folks at home can see you, hear you as well. The first one is Mr. Jim Guyan. Welcome, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Jim Gwynn. My wife and I own a new business here in the city of Bowie, Distinctive Hair and Grooming at 4501 Mitchellville Road. An issue we've had since we began is that apparently the city of Bowie has very strict signage ordinances forbidding signs such as this to be in either on the property out front or in right-of-way easements on the street. And I wanted to come here today to appeal to see if there can either be an exemption or to see if there is some way we can overcome this business obstacle. 2 or 3 of these signs out front can literally mean the difference in 4 or 5 walk-ins in the hair business, which means about $120 a day or $600 a week. And to a small business, that is significant. And I've met with and discussed on email with Councilman Turner and some others our appeal to see if we can do anything about this so as to not handicap a small business. The signage is professionally done. We don't feel like it's overdone. It's probably similar to some of the election signs we see every October and November in Prince George's County. And I came here today to talk about that, or at least present the issue to each of you so that maybe we can come to some sort of an agreement where we could benefit from the signage out front of our shop.
Okay, well, I understand the city's code enforcement is meeting with you and with the county folks and see if they're, because it's both the city resolution and the county.
Yes,
so we have to deal with what it is, but I'm sure we will stay in touch.
Okay.
Thank you for you.
Thank
you. Appreciate you. Welcome to Bowie as a business.
Yes, sir.
Dustin Kazan. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Good to see you guys again.
Good to see you, Dustin.
Yeah, thanks. All right, I want to make this quick, and I've asked several people to come tonight. Tamika and I organized some people to come show support for this arts and entertainment district we've been talking about. I just want to say that I do think this is a good time to start doing something about it. I noticed last week I drove through there and there's 3 commercial properties that were for sale right now. And from what I understand, nobody really knows what's going to happen in that area when somebody else buys this property. So it could end up turning into something that we don't want to see. So maybe when we have this group here that has a shared vision for this arts and entertainment district, and we'd like to take that first step to get in there. So tonight we're asking if you guys could to submit a letter of intent to the State of Maryland's Arts Council to start a process, which would be a one-year planning process, and it would help the city with technical resources to help us get to achieving that vision. It might end up, we work through this process and it doesn't get to that vision, but at least they will provide us resources to help guide us through this vision. But one of the very first things is this letter of intent that the city would have to submit to the state. And to show support for that and the direction that we're going, we have members from inside Bowie and outside of Bowie. And the two groups that I would like to mention is Visual Society. They represent artists in the DC area. And the second is a group called Artistic Alchemy, sorry. And so we have one person speaking on both half of those groups, but they're showing that there is actually interest in this topic from outside of Bowie. So there's a July 1st deadline for this letter, so we have time to get this letter together. And we just want to start this process now and show our support early so that we have plenty of time to get this letter together. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right, now I have several speakers. The first one will be Marcia Burris, and she'll be followed by Albert Bellman. Welcome, ma'am.
Welcome, and good evening to the mayor and the council. I'm Marcia Beard Burris. I've been a Bowie resident for 13 years now, having moved from the state of Georgia, where I was very active wife of a local politician, city politician, actually the mayor of Stone Mountain. And I've lived here in the C section, and I currently am in the W section. By day, I work in public and government affairs for the Smithsonian, but the rest of the time, I'm a jazz singer. And I've been performing around the metropolitan area over 5 years or so. Primarily, however, in DC. And would love to have the opportunity to perform locally in Bowie. Bowie is a beautiful community. I brought my parents here and my husband here. It's a wonderful community. But I think that we would really benefit from the expansion of other types of cultural activities for residents so that folks wouldn't have to drive in town. And the site that is being looked at would be a wonderful tourist and industry draw. The quaint surroundings and historic surroundings. In one of my lives, I was on the chaired the Historic Preservation Commission for the city, and having the artistic part of it is very wonderful, and also helps fuel the economic and tourist growth of the area. And this particular application will also look at, I understand, not only the wonderful Old Town Bowie area, but also possibly bringing in Bowie State. So it would be both offering artistic education as well as a destination. I'm pretty excited about it because, as I said, it would be nice to have some places to go and work nearer to home. So I beg your indulgence and hope you'll support this.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Appreciate your
much.
comments. Albert Bellman.
Thank you.
One of my musician buddies.
Yes.
Hi, Albert Bauman. I live on Brunswick Lane in Bowie. I've been here for, 38 years or something like that. But I just wanted to mention, I'm here to support the Arts and Entertainment District idea. And the state of Maryland has a website that is basically dedicated to arts and entertainment districts. It mentions there are 24 of them currently in the state of Maryland, and they have generated $855 million in revenue. They have basically accounted for $63.5 million in state and local taxes, and have created 3,594 jobs, paying a total of $267 million in wages. For me personally, as a performer, I would really love a place to be able to play in Bowie. I have a jazz trio. We play quite a bit in Virginia. We do concerts in Virginia, concerts in Montgomery County. I've done a couple of them at the Bowie Center for the Performing Arts, and in the small room there, because we're a small group, that's generally what we do. But they've just priced us out of the market. I mean, a couple times I played there, it was like $250. Now it's up to like $750, plus we have to buy an insurance company or an insurance for $2 million in liability, and it takes it up to like $900 just to play in that little room. And it's just totally unreasonable, and I would love to see some place in Bowie where artists like me, where my group and others would have the opportunity to play in a reasonable situation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Verna Teasdale, one of our great longtime advocates for education in the city, was one of our stalwarts on the Board of Education. We miss you there.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. I am Verna Teasdale, and this evening I'm representing BRAVA, the Bowie Arts Vision Association, Regional Arts Vision Association. BRAVA joins with the community of artists, performers, and citizens who are willing to work for Old Bowie to be designated as an arts and entertainment district. The process, as you've heard, begins with you approving a letter of intent that will be sent to the Maryland State Arts Council. Your approval has to be one of the easiest things you've ever done. Approving the preparation of the letter of intent can only be beneficial. Your approval will garner goodwill, demonstrate your support for the arts, and it costs you nothing. If the Maryland State Arts Council approves Old Bowie as an arts and entertainment district, the benefits to Bowie, as you just heard, could become even greater. Disapproving the preparation of the letter denies the potential of establishing venues in Old Bowie where the community could come to enjoy the works and performances of many of the local talented professionals that otherwise have no place in Bowie to perform. Your approval of the letter is the first step toward Bowie becoming an arts and entertainment district. Whether or not the State Arts Council designates Old Bowie as an arts and entertainment district, your approval demonstrates to the community your support and your recognition and appreciation for arts in Bowie. BRAVA urges you to approve the letter of intent. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Wayne? Okay, I got that wrong. Welcome.
Quite all right. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, council members. It's a pleasure to address you tonight. My name is Wayne Owendwesson. I'm a Bowie resident and a recording artist based here. I coincidentally started my recording artist career the same year that I moved to Bowie in 2004, and I was fortunate enough to be embraced by the consumers and artist community in this area that really helped me to evolve and grow as an artist. I learned very quickly that this city was a big supporter of soul music, which is the genre that I'm in. And in performing and in collaborating with the local artists in this community, I grew tremendously as an artist and built my business and went on to perform locally, nationally, internationally, and to be nominated for a Grammy and to perform for 2 years as a vocalist with Stevie Wonder. So this community has really nurtured and raised me. I am a self-taught artist, so everything I learned from the audiences of this city. And the first thing that I learned is that there is a great demand for quality performances, and that consumers of art in this area really know good art when they hear it, and that the artists in this community are also very strong and polished and passionate because of the love and appreciation that this community has for the arts. So I definitely feel like it would be welcomed by the community, by our neighbors, by the consumers here, and also by the arts community that has so much to give, not only to to the city of Bowie, but the surrounding area. I'm also here as a mother because I have 2 young girls that I'm raising here, and too often, in order to get them great arts education, I have to leave the city and travel to Crofton or to Silver Spring or Bethesda to get really innovative arts programming. And I would really love to be able to keep them close to home. I'm fortunate enough to be raising my kids in the home that was built by Governor Odin Bowie for his daughter, Eugene Roberts, and their family. So we have a special connection to the city. There's a bit of history that we feel like we want to carry on, and we hope that this bill can pass, or this motion could pass, so that we can nurture a new generation of artists.
Thank you. Appreciate your thought. Jocelyn Long. Welcome in.
Good afternoon. My name is Jocelyn Long. I've been a resident of Millstream Drive for about 13 years now. So I recently started an events planning business, and I recently decided that I wanted to have some brick and mortar built. And when I was introduced to what this initiative is with the rest of my residents, I was really excited. The business that I'm looking to start would directly support an A&E district, as well as the city of Bowie, and as well as myself, a long-standing Bowie resident. I believe a well-thought-out A&E district would be perfect in Bowie's history of arts and culture. And since I've been here, I can personally witness, and I have personally witnessed, that we've always found distinctive ways to not only engage our community, but attract surrounding commerce. And I believe that this district would also help balance the newly structured, hard-lined businesses and buildings around us. And I think that such a district would also bring back a sense of community that that is kind of missed, in my opinion, since being here. Also, I'm a mother of 3 boys and a wife as well. So the sense of community and family is really important to me as well. And to have an art district as such would certainly bring back some life that I think has been lost in the recent years. So I would urge each and every one of you to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you coming. Muzar Ya. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Muzar Ja, and I'm here today representing myself, and only myself, as a resident of Old Bowie since 2009. Although I am an aerospace engineer by profession, since elementary school I have been in a love affair with the arts. I played the clarinet through elementary and junior high school, and I took advanced art classes in senior high school. I frequent local museums and participate in art events like the Night of Ideas, but it was held in Washington, D.C. last week. I work on sewing and constructing garments. In 2014, I participated in the Fashion Awards Maryland and won for my garment design. Art and creativity has been an important part of my life as a source of inspiration and creativity. Life is not worth living without art. Bowie has a rich heritage of history and art via the Bowie Playhouse Theater, the art exhibitions throughout the city, City Hall and Huntington Community Center, to name a few. However, there's not a concentrated area for creatives in Bowie. Old Bowie can be that artistic heartbeat benefiting Bowie residents socially, culturally, and economically via a Maryland-designated arts and entertainment district. An arts and entertainment district could bring a new energy to Bowie. We have the opportunity to develop a uniquely Bowie A&E district using the lessons learned from our other Maryland A&E districts. I am for the creation of an A&E district in Bowie, especially Old Bowie, and encourage residents and our Maryland creative community to advocate and take part in the effort to develop one that meets our needs and is financially viable for our residents. So I urge the council and mayor to please support this letter of intent. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your comments. And our last speaker is Lindsay Vance. Welcome him.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Lindsay Vance. I'm actually not a resident of Bowie, but I do come to you all as a worker in Bowie. I am an adjunct professor at Bowie State University. I am also the visual arts manager for DC Public Schools, and I am also here representing Artistic Alchemy and Visual Society, which are both two up-and-coming businesses in the area that employ lots of Bowie artists. And right now we are in DC and we are looking for our own brick and mortar place as well, and we think that Bowie can be one of those special places. I have a special place in my heart here, as well as I have worked with many, many artists, employing them in different various teaching artist roles, and we are coming from a visual arts aspect. And what I would hope to see with this arts and entertainment district is the be able to bring back some of the community that I've known that Bowie used to have. I went to College Park and I used to come out here often, and I actually don't frequent as much anymore other than to teach my classes. And so I'm hoping that what this can do is be a bridge for lots of creatives in the area, particularly in Prince George's County, that are out there doing lots of work in the District of Columbia, not because there's, some great things happening, there are, but because there are a lack of opportunities right here in their own backyard. And I definitely am a supporter of an arts and entertainment district here in Old Town Bowie. I think not only does it bring economic development back to this place, I think it brings the community that so many of the creatives in this area are looking for, and it actually would just benefit my students very much, because they will have somewhere that many of them don't have transportation to get out to some of the further places to continue education outside of school. And so my hope to you all is to actually sign this letter and get this letter of intent to the Maryland Council so that they can make this a district of arts and entertainment.
Okay, well, thank you very much. That's all the speakers I have. Now, let me just suggest this. I'll get you in a second. Well, it's your district. If you want to make a quick comment, Mr. Zell.
I was just going to say, actually, could I ask Tamika Moore to come up real quick? Sorry. So just to clarify, so thanks everyone for coming out tonight and for talking about this. For the Arts and Entertainment District, there's a two-part application, right? So the intent to apply, which is due on July the 1st.
Yes.
Okay, and then there's the whole separate application after that. And just for clarification, so folks understand, from what I understand, is you guys met with the Maryland Arts Council, right?
Yes, we did.
And they gave you a positive sense that this would not be a total waste of time, right?
Yes, they did. Yes,
cool.
They did.
The city submitted an application back in 2011, but they felt that this time around there were additional things going on in Old Bowie that would greatly improve upon, the circumstances needed for an application to be successful.
That is correct.
Cool.
Yes, correct.
Do I also understand correctly that for both the intent to apply and if that goes through the actual application itself, that they recommended that it be a mix of stakeholders and interested groups doing most of the work on the application along with representatives from the Maryland Arts Council who could guide that process?
Yes, it would be a collective effort, yes.
Okay, so this wouldn't just be creating staff work for city employees?
Absolutely, and as part of my role, again, good evening, Mayor and council members. Part of my role, or the majority of my role, is project manager. So my goal in this project has been to drive it along. So I handle a lot of the administrative aspects of getting things in order for the process. So from the paperwork to kind of filling in all the holes of the project, that's what I do. So there would be a minimized effort from the council for any support for that. So you wouldn't have to worry about an overburdened staff having to have something else added to their plate. So that is what I am here for. So.
Gotcha. Cool. That's very helpful. That being the case, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to direct if we could get staff to sit down and work with Ms. Moore and any other representatives from the stakeholders that are interested to get the intent to apply completed and submitted. I'd like to make a motion in that direction.
Well, I think all we need is a sentiment to direct staff, but before we do that, I just want, maybe I'm the cautious guy here. What I need back from staff before we do that is what a letter of intent obligates us to, if anything, to see if there's any cost related. One thing I've learned over the years is things get expensive when they tell me they're free. So I have no problem with trying to work together with the group. It seems like a commendable effort, but I would like to have staff look at this first and get back to us in a reasonable time, and then and take whatever direction seems appropriate for that. But it seems like it might be an idea that's workable. Just want to make sure that before we jump into the pool, I know how deep it is.
Sure. We also have a copy of the application present here tonight to give to the clerk.
If you got anything you have, if
yes.
you would leave them with the city clerk, we'll move from there, and then we'll be back in touch as soon as quickly as we can.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Now, the due date is July 1?
Yes, by July 1, the application process is the intent to apply form is submitted by July 1 in preparation for an actual full application to be submitted by October 1.
Well, we should be able to get something back to you in the next couple of weeks or so.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you all for coming tonight. Appreciate your time and your interest. Did you have something, Dr. Trout?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, can we also direct staff to get together with Emmett Jordan? Emmett Jordan is the mayor of Greenbelt. Greenbelt does have an arts
Do
district.
we have to talk to Emmett?
Emmett's all right. Emmett's all right. Emmett's all right.
Okay.
There's a rule here. You can't be more than 7'4".
He's not 7'4", he's 6'5".
I have no problem talking with anybody. If it's something that's doable, the more people you have involved in it is better. Absolutely. We can certainly do it. I think that we can just look at, like I say, I don't have any objection to this personally, but I just want to take a cautious approach to it and make sure that we don't obligate the city to something that I'm not thinking of right now. Okay, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. City boards and committees, I'd like to invite Elmer Dangler, if he would join us as we sworn in for a committee appointment. We already voted for that. Yeah. I just have to swear that. Welcome, sir. If you want to come up and join us, I'm going to swear you in and put you to work. Hey, come on up here. So we haven't lost anybody in weeks.
Okay.
Mr. Degler has agreed to serve on our Environmental Advisory Committee. So I'm going to ask you to, where's my swearing thing? Okay, I'm going to ask, yeah, I know, but I saw a President of the United States mess up on this. I'm going to ask you after I say aye, if you would state your name. Aye.
Elmer Dangler,
Do swear or affirm
do swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and that I will be faithful
and that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland,
and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of
execute the office of
a regular member of the Environmental Advisory Committee,
regular member of the Environmental Advisory Committee,
according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
Thank you, sir. It's the first night of your 14-year assignment. Thank you. Appreciate your service. As many of you know, the committee system does wonderful things for this community, and we have so many talented people, we couldn't afford to pay them all, so thank you very much. City Manager?
Mr. Mayor, we are working hard on our budget preparation as we get closer to the introduction date, and of course the staff's working pretty hard on the mid-year report on last year's goals and objectives in the budget. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Council, have consent agenda items A through D. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Marco, seconded by Mr. Gardner. Any question on the motion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. New business, a presentation on overview. ACOM? Oh, okay. Welcome, sir. If you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Michael House. I'm the Vice President of AECOM's Energy Services Business in the Americas. I'm here with Jason Beasley from our Water Business Unit. He's the Area Sector Lead. and Jason will introduce himself when he begins his part of the presentation. I was invited here today to talk to you about a few topics on energy efficiency, water infrastructure, stormwater management, smart city infrastructure, and security. And I have a few charts to show. Okay, AECOM is the world's premier fully integrated infrastructure firm. We design, build, finance, and operate infrastructure assets around the world. So I'll provide you with a little presentation on how the smart city infrastructure could benefit Bowie, and a few other stories from the work that we do as a benchmark to some of the objectives of the city. We have a global presence, but we have local offices in Maryland, from Beltsville to Germantown to Baltimore and Annapolis Junction. We're a large firm, but we can bring subject matter expertise on a variety of topics, including smart city infrastructure. Sure.
Can you get this one on the monitor? On the monitor, Mark? That's what it's easier for us to follow. Yeah. Our record got technical staff.
All set? Okay. Okay. So we provide engineering services across the entire infrastructure lifecycle. As you can see here, we act as program managers. We provide help for traditional design, bid, build projects. We help on program management, construction management contracts, and do integrated design build. We help operate and maintain facilities when needed. Our engineering staff has a wide variety of expertise from civil engineering, electrical, mechanical engineering, and architectural design. Here in Prince George's County, AECOM provided consulting services supporting the implementation of an urban stormwater project to meet Chesapeake Bay total maximum daily load pollutant reduction requirements as required by the National Pollution System Discharge Elimination System Stormwater Program. To support the county and meet bacteria reduction goals, AECOM evaluated potential outreach activities that would be effective in reducing transfer of pet waste and trash to local water bodies. We estimated pollutant load reductions and researched alternative methods of pet waste removal. The project included developing outreach materials such as brochures and posters, fact sheets, door hangers, and social media page content design. As a final example, in Seat Pleasant, we developed and designed and obtained required permits for an oil water separator to provide water quality improvements in an impervious area at a heavily developed county maintenance facility. So I'd like to talk to you about smart cities. It's a major technical practice group at AECOM that's growing in importance because of the interest of multiple municipalities around the country. So what is a smart city? Many communities are interested in becoming a smart city, but may not fully understand the benefits of the technology. Our work for the city of Bronzeville near Chicago has centered primarily on improving community resilience. They're installing a new electric microgrid that would maintain communications, public safety, infrastructure, and electricity service for critical community infrastructure when the electric grid goes down. A large factor in the Smart City program is the conversion of streetlights to intelligent lighting. New LED streetlights consume electricity than older high-pressure sodium lighting, saving the community money and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. The light also act as a means to situate sensors, which provide data on air quality, traffic, and public safety. So we've partnered with firms such as Verizon to offer integrated smart city solutions, including intelligent lighting and public safety, intelligent traffic methods, and intelligent parking. The lighting systems control and monitor streetlights to conserve energy and send out signals when they malfunction, rather than relying on citizens to call and complain about broken streetlights. The lighting system captures data on how much energy is consumed and provides that to city managers. Public safety can be enhanced with integrated video systems through actionable data with notification to police, supplementing their patrols. Finally, smart city systems can help with intelligent traffic and parking management, optimizing traffic signals and providing near real-time data on traffic flow. Information can be obtained on live traffic data to understand where traffic is coming from and where it's going to through the city. Smart cities also involve infrastructure that's not readily available or visible to the public, such as water, wastewater systems, stormwater management systems, electricity, and gas utility piping. We recently completed a study for the City of Boston on how best to plan and refurbish the large amount of underground utilities in a dense urban environment. The result is a plan by which there are coordinated utility infrastructure projects that minimize the disruption to public traffic and to storefront businesses when streets are broken up. As Boston makes continual improvements to their infrastructure, they now have lower costs going forward on future programs due to the coordination of utility activities. I'm now going to let Jason talk about AECOM's water infrastructure programs.
All right. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's a pleasure for me to be here today. So my name is Jason Beasley. I'm Associate Vice President for AECOM. I'm over the water practice for AECOM in the Maryland area. And AECOM, we have a lot of clients that we service in the area that are similar to the city of Bowie. We service WSSC. We service DC Water, St. Mary's Metropolitan Commission, City of Baltimore, as well as Baltimore County. And we mainly provide several types of services. I'll classify them in four main areas. One is wastewater treatment, water distribution, and then wastewater conveyance. And we provide program management, construction management, planning, design, and engineering. As Mike said, we're a full-service engineering firm, and we provide these services for many clients that are very similar to yourselves. So I'll give you a few examples of some projects that we do around the world and in the area. For water treatment, for WSSC, we did the design for the Patuxent water filtration expansion. Essentially, it added UV disinfection to the water treatment plant, as well as expanded the capacity to about 72 MGD. For a project that we did in Detroit, Michigan, for the city of Detroit, we provided a capital improvement program management organization project. We served on that project. And we provided program management, asset management, planning, design, and construction management. One of the great things I'd like to tell you about that project is that we really concentrated on asset management. Just the city of Bowie, just like these other clients, know that with aging infrastructure, you really need to plan how you're going to make improvements to all of the assets that you have. I understand that the city recently did some tests to determine where improvements are required within their water system. And there were some areas that were identified that you're going to move forward with in providing improvements. So what we can do is essentially, and as asset management basis, we think that's an absolute best practice. You essentially identify those assets. What you did after that is you extrapolated, okay, this is the type of pipe it is, this is the age of it, and you extrapolated that to say this is what the improvements will look like across the entire system. That's exactly what you need to do. What happens after that is you would provide condition assessments of the entire areas to actually validate if improvements are required. And then from there, what we do is some types of different analyses to determine what areas are critical. Essentially, different types of criticality analyses determine which areas need to be improved first. So that allows you to then have a holistic picture, all the improvements that are required, and then be able to prioritize them and match them with the fiscal outlays that you have with your capital improvements program. So that's very important, and that's things that we can do with the projects that we've done for other clients in the area. When we go on to talk about wastewater treatment, we have some wastewater treatment reference projects that we've done for clients in the area. For WSSC, we have our sanitary sewer rehabilitation support program basic ordering agreement. Essentially, we are doing sewer rehabilitation projects that support the consent decree, reducing SSOs and improving the operations of the existing WSSC system. As we know, that actually helps the city of Bowie, because part of your infrastructure is controlled by WSSC, and then you control the other part. Trunk sewer inspection is another thing that we do. Again, we talked about the need for the condition assessments that happen after you have some idea of where the problem areas would be. For our trunk sewer inspection services, that's exactly what we do for WSSC. And we also, as far as the wastewater treatment, for DC Water, we've been at Blue Plains wastewater treatment facility for about 80 years. So literally just about every single process improvement that's happened at that plant, we've been involved in providing program management, planning, design, and construction management. So those are a sample of the different services that we can provide. We've done that for clients in the area. We have great references with them, and those are some things that we see you're doing a great job at, and we can take you to the next step and continue to do condition assessments and analyses to determine which improvements you need to do and when. Right.
Thank you, Jason. I'll conclude the talk with a little bit on energy efficiency and how that might benefit the city of Bowie. So we do a lot of energy efficiency work for the federal government and for local municipalities and commercial industrial clients. And the idea behind it is that there is expense being paid to the utility companies, the electric, the gas, and the water companies, that's a current operational expense within any municipality. So we go in with our energy engineers and understand where there's waste in the system. And that higher energy utility bill can then be used, if you spread it out over time, to come back and make improvements to the system. So if you had deferred maintenance, that energy savings on your utility bill can be captured, and then those monies can be used to upgrade equipment. So we do this for public school systems and incorporating new HVAC systems or new windows. I know Bowie has invested quite a bit in solar energy, and that can be combined together with these energy efficiency projects to make it a bankable project. So those guaranteed energy savings are operational over the long term of a contract and can be used to with little or no upfront cost. And I know your comment earlier, Mr. Mayor, that nothing is free, but the way that the energy savings are captured can be used over time to incorporate it into a very nice project. So here are some of the typical improvements. I talked about smart city and IoT applications. There's renewable energy such as combined heat and power microgrids, like I described, that's going on in the city of Bronzeville. There's new energy storage technologies. Maryland, through the MEA, is putting investments into battery energy storage and incentivizing communities to put batteries in to save the solar energy that's captured during the day and then released at night. There's new interior and exterior LED lighting, such as this facility here, which could be upgraded with LED lighting. Lighting controls and motor transformer replacements, which are used in water projects that Jason described previously. And there's also building envelope improvements and continuous retro commissioning, even on new buildings that are produced. There's retro commissioning, which means the constant monitoring of the system building performance to ensure that you're not wasting energy over time. And we do this for buildings that are as little as 2 years old and notice tremendous savings. I'll give you an example. We work a lot in the city of Chicago for high-rise tenants in those environments, and we found a few opened air ducts within one of the high-rises and were able to save hundreds of thousands of dollars for the clients just because they had no idea that some of the baffles were open on a cold outside winter day. So those are some of the interesting things that you can do with energy efficiency and energy audits. So there's several financing mechanisms that you can consider: internal capital and traditional debt bond financing. Utility rebates, we work with Pepco and Baltimore Gas and Electric to look and maximize energy savings and grants for our clients. There's special federal grant programs and public-private partnerships. And there's plenty of capital available on the market for these sorts of deals. So I want to thank you, Mr. Mayor, and the Town Council for listening to our talk tonight. Thank you.
Okay. All right, I appreciate that. Did somebody want to make some questions? Staff does not have a report on that. Okay. All right, if no question, what I would do is, what?
Mr. Mayor,
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
The only, from our briefings before, we have exceptional support with our stormwater management programs and established relationships. The issue of LED lightings in our streetlights, if it would not be cost effective to us, even though that's a really good idea. But under the circumstances that we exist, we pay a flat fee for the electricity with PG&E. And even if we improved our LED lightings, we still would pay the flat fee. We would only be saving PG&E money and not ourselves. But the possibility of energy savings at our facilities is something that could possibly be realized if the energy audit was, would not cost us anything. It was something we could look at and then see if there are savings, the possibility of some sort of supported transaction there. Just to discuss this, Mayor Pro Tem Gardner asked me to put these guys on the agenda. We work with them on the LED lighting issue, but there's a possibility that if they were to conduct an energy audit and it would be profitable for us to follow up on that, is something that's possible of all the things they talked about.
All right, Mr. Garner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Pardon me, Mr. City Manager, question for you. Where do you see there, I understand where you said being beneficial to the LED lighting program, but where do you see where they could be possibly supportive of our existing water system? That is one of my main focus, is that water system.
Well, it's possible. I mean, when we are in the process of, as you know, attempting to alleviate the tuberculation situation that exists in the water distribution piping in our water system. And within the next 2 years, we're going to have $1.3 million worth of contract work conducted. So they could bid on those projects, and their bids would be considered along with others. As right now, if they do that sort of work, I think he said that. By that, I mean helping to replace pipings and clear them out and that sort of thing that we're doing over there to alleviate the brown water situation that we have in some places. And that's what I see they can do for us over there.
Okay, and they did have a product also where they were talking about the LED lighting to where, I hate the term Big Brother, but the lighting, for instance, being a surveillance type program for reporting or gathering information and reporting it back to our police department.
I mean, we could always put them in touch with Chief Nesky and see if that's something that would fit our policing methods. Of course, that would be a funding issue there.
Can I suggest something?
Yeah.
Let me suggest this, because the normal process that we do on this, if a vendor comes in with a great idea or something, we vet it through staff, because not only do we have procedural things, but we have bidding things and all those other things that we would have to do. There are a lot of legal constraints here. That's why, this is kind of going backwards. I would suggest that, unless council has an objection, is take the information they have, ask staff to review it, and see if there's something in there that might possibly be a match to our need or something. But like I say, at this point in time, I think it'd be awfully premature for us to do anything specific, because I for one just don't know what the scope is, and I'm sure council will tell you that there are a whole lot of vetting things that we would have to go through just to make sure. So if council doesn't have any objection, I'll just try to get the applicant and city staff together and look at it and get it something back at some point in time.
Thank you. That's
any objection? All right, well, thank you guys very much. That's what we'll do then. We'll have, if you can share what you have, if it's proprietary or something, make sure they understand that, and we'll look at it and get back to you at some point in time. But you have to understand that our process, we normally define a need, define a project, and we look for, creative ways to deal with it, and then we bid those projects. So right now, we put this in front of that, and that's causing me some concern. But I thank you very much for doing it. It's very, very informative, and it looks like you got a pretty solid background to deal from. So that's
Thank
where
you.
we'll go then.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
gentlemen, for coming out.
Appreciate the efforts that you put into that.
I'm sorry, Mr. City Manager. I'm sorry, Miss City Attorney. Did you have something you wanted to say? Oh, okay. I thought I got something. Okay. Thank you.
All right, we're good?
Yes.
All right, item next is amendment of Prince George's County Water and Sewer Plan, 18W07.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. For the record, I'm Joe Meinert, the city's planning director, and this item before you tonight is for public hearing. It is a recommendation to Prince George's County Council regarding an amendment to the county's 10-year water and sewer plan. The application is number 18W007, and the applicant is the Redeemed Christian Church of God Victory Temple. The request is to provide a change in water category and sewer category from S5 and W5 to category W4 and S4 in order to provide public water and sewer service for a proposed 60,000 square foot church building on this property, which is about 28 acres in area, located in the southeast quadrant of Church Road and Mount Oak Road. I have a couple of slides here just to orient the council to the property. As I mentioned, this property is located at the southeast corner of Mount Oak Road and Church Road. The address is 14403 Mount Oak. The zoning of the property is RE, as you can see in the greenish lime color. The surrounding properties are also in the RE residential estate zone. A church is permitted within the RE zone. This is an aerial photograph of the property. It shows that the property was prior use as agriculture, and there are several single-family homes on the 28 acres. This property is adjacent to the city limits. This is the existing water and sewer category in the water and sewer plan. To the east of the subject property is the Woodmore Estates subdivision in the RE zone. That's currently served with public water and sewer facilities. Across Mount Oak Road to the north, there are a couple of subdivided areas, including the Woodmore Preserve and the Mount Oak Methodist Church property. Those are currently in water and sewer category 3. So the areas in the green color are currently in water category 5. This is the last slide I'm going to show, and it's just an illustrative plan of how conceptually a church building could be developed on the property. And again, this is illustrative only for this application, just showing the proposed footprint of a church. As council is aware, the water and sewer plan process, the amendment process, is a legislative process. It's done through county council legislation, and in order to amend the water and sewer map, if the map amendment is approved, it will allow the property to then proceed through the development review process. And the next step would be a preliminary plan of subdivision, at which time the property would be reviewed for adequate public facilities, including drainage and traffic and those types of issues. So this is really a go or no-go decision in terms of whether the county council wants to amend the water and sewer plan to allow this 28 acres to be considered for development in an upcoming review. In terms of the requirements for approval, a water and sewer amendment to Category 4 must show that the project complies with zoning, that there is water and sewer service that is adequate and available, and that the development proposal includes an adequate description. We find that all of these required criteria are met for this application. We provided greater detail on page 2 of the staff report. As I mentioned, this is a public hearing item this evening. We did post the property with 4 public hearing signs and sent out a notice to surrounding properties in mid-January advertising tonight's hearing. So in conclusion, staff recommends approval of category W4 and S4. We find that all the criteria are met, and that concludes the staff presentation.
Welcome, sir. Please.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Paul Jackson from the law firm of Shipley and Horn. On behalf of the applicant, the Redeemed Christian Church of God Victory Temple. On behalf of the church tonight is Pastor Baya Adeyu Kune, who is here in the audience, as well as a few of his associate pastors as well. The church has been in inception since 1996. It started in Capitol Heights off Central Avenue. In 2000, it purchased a property in Bowie, I believe District 2, off Old Annapolis Road, 13701 Old Annapolis Road. It recently purchased this property here on Mount Oak. The church is appreciative of the city manager and Mr. Meinert's memorandum and report, and we're seeking approval from this board to forward a letter to the county council for approval for W4 water sewer category 4. And we'll be available for any questions.
Okay. Does the church want to make a comment? Okay, that's good. Okay, anybody sign up to speak? Okay. And as I call your name, if you would come to the podium and identify yourself for the folks at home and keep your comments to 3 or 4 minutes, I'd appreciate it. Felicia Stewart? Felicia Stewart. Addie Elisibi? Oh, okay. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Council members. My name is Ade Adebisi, and I live on Dolphin Way, right there. And I've been there since the community was built back in 2004. Actually, we've been living there, and we've seen a lot of changes in the area. We like the area. We like everything. And this project kind of disturbs us because we feel that it will have an impact in our area, given that the area is currently zoned residential, and preferably we would like to keep it residential. For one thing, there's traffic, that will be impacted, and it's surrounded by homes. And we think we have a lovely neighborhood, we have a lovely area, and a project such as this would actually have a major, not so constructive impact on our neighborhood. For one thing, what does that do to the value of our homes? I mean, we already have 2 churches in Mount Oak, and right there, there's the Methodist Church, which has been there for a long time. It's actually part of the scenery, the landscape. And then there's this Jehovah's Church right off Driftwood, which is kind of sets back in there. So we already have 2 churches. I mean, the city should really consider what to do with this parcel other than build more churches. I like churches, and I think we all love churches, but we don't have to have 3 of them right there, because that changes our community. So having said that, has anybody studied what that does to property values of estate homes when you have 3 churches lined up right there on the major road, and what it does to the traffic? We are taxpayers, we pay a lot of taxes. I'm not sure how much property taxes you'll get from the church, but those are things to consider. And our neighborhood is really concerned about this. And we would like the council to take a step back and rethink the impact, maybe come and talk to us and see how we feel about it, because this is not good for us, we think.
And that's
Okay, thanks, sir.
the message from that's the message from the neighborhood. Okay.
Okay, next speaker is Natal Sims.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. My name is Natal Sims, and I have been a resident of Bowie, Maryland for almost 2 decades now. My husband, Lorenzo Sims, and I own a home in Woodmore Estates, which is located at 14606 Driftwood Road, which actually would abut the property at issue. We oppose the City Council sending a letter recommending for development this property for a number of reasons. We did have an opportunity to review the January 31st, 2019 memo to the City Council from the City Manager, and we noticed that there was no reference to the impact on the property value of homes, much like the prior resident speaker mentioned. We are concerned about whether and to what extent the development of this property will have on our property values. We're also concerned about potential health effects and potential health-related effects or conditions that could result from the use and development of water and sewage infrastructure under our property. We would like to have that studied prior to the City Council deciding whether to recommend development. We're also very interested in financial liability. In the event that the water and sewage infrastructure were to be impeded or impact existing mature trees, we're concerned about whether and to what extent there would be liability for residents and homeowners along Driftwood Road and Mount Oak especially, if there were to be any disruption of the pipes or the sewage into our yards. Our question is who would pay to clean up that mess, and it would in fact be a mess and a stinky one at that. We are very concerned about, especially with respect to the trees. We understand that the trees and our mature trees' roots go very deep. And so there's a very high likelihood from our perspective that the water and sewage lines that would be run through the property would either hit those trees or at some point be impeded by the trees. We're also interested, and we'd like the City Council to consider whether there are other options, whether this is absolutely necessary from an aesthetic perspective, as well as from an infrastructure perspective. And until those concerns are addressed, we would like the City Council to withhold its recommendation to move forward with the development. Thank you.
That's all the people I have signed up to speak. Let me just tell you, this proposal is to move the county's water sewer system from 5 to 4. Now, my understanding is that's kind of an administrative process, and all it does is indicates, as you suggested earlier, that they meet the standards because the water, the WSSC is there. This doesn't obligate us to approve anything at a later date or anything. This is just an administrative thing, is that correct?
Mayor, it's an administrative step to amend the map, and by amending the map, it allows the developer or the landowner to submit development plans. So they would not be able to submit development plans using public water and sewer unless the category is changed. If the property were to develop without the category change, it would have to develop on a well and septic system. It could still develop, but what they're intending to develop here would require public water and sewer, and so really this is the first step that allows them to go into the preliminary plan of subdivision, at which time all of the site constraints and traffic and things like that will be reviewed as part of that process.
But so this move only allows the process to go forward.
That's correct.
In which case they would have to submit design and comprehensive concept plans and all that, and go through all the stakeholders process and
Correct.
that whole planning process.
Public hearings, that's correct.
Okay. All right. So, Council, what you have before you then is a staff recommendation to move it forward so that the process can go forward. Seems like, the rules are pretty standard. You go from 5 to 4 if the water and sewer is there.
Exactly.
So,
Could you mind, Mr. Mayor?
it's in District 3, and unfortunately, District 3 is vacant, so I'll go to
The former District 3.
former District 3 and current at-large guy.
First, I want to thank you for coming out this evening and providing a presentation to the city and its residents. And like Mr. Adebisi mentioned earlier, I love churches. I love churches. You know, I am very religious and spiritual, and I'm very familiar with the community, Whitmore Estates, Whitmore Highlands. Even though Mount Oak Farms is not in physically in the city of Bowie in our municipality limits, I would really like to park this decision myself personally, and I ask my colleagues to join me this evening, until you have had some opportunity to meet with the HOA of Whitmore Estates, Whitmore Highlands, and then giving them some idea as to what you guys plan to build, giving them an idea to see the look, the feel of your church, the plans. I really like to see a little bit more involvement of the community that directly will be impacted. I mean, you have the Whitmore Preserves too. You know, these are, as Mr. Adebisi mentioned, these are state homes, and you know, and they do. You know, I don't know. You know, I'm not a professional on that and determining whether it will have a negative impact on their values of their home, but it is a concern, and I stand with them on that concern because, you know, values of homes that's your biggest investment. So I personally would like to see you guys have some communication with those 3 communities of Mount Oak Farms, even though they're not in the city of Bowie, as well as Whitmore Highlands and Whitmore Estates and those HOA communities, and sharing with them your plans and the number of parishioners or members, cars, things of that nature, because that road has a number of incidences to where I know personally there at Whitmore Estates, there's a couple neighbors or residents there that have their backyards that back up to Mount Oak Road, and their fences are torn down regularly. Oh, that's y'all? Oh, okay. Okay.
I see that pretty white fence go up at least.
Yes, it's a beautiful fence.
All right, let me.
So I just would like to see more. I know, and that community has a lot of speeders and it's a lot going on around there, and I just want to see more involvement and having the residents of those communities have more input on what's going on there.
And I apologize in my presentation for not mentioning that. That is the utmost concern of the church, is to get community involvement, to talk to the neighbors and so forth. At this stage, to get the water sewer category 4, that helps us in our plans and our application for the preliminary plan of subdivision as far as the cost and so forth associated with it. In regards to the church, there's between north of 1,500 members at the church.
Okay.
The preliminary plan of subdivision will allow for us to do the studies for traffic and environmental and stormwater management and so forth. This step allows us to get to the next step. After this step, you know, concurrently, we'll be reaching out to the neighbors.
And I understand this step allows you to get to the next step. I just don't want you to go to the next step until you've had some input from the community. So I'm going to speak for myself. I know the residents of Whitmore Estates very well. I think, Mr. Adebisi, we were talking when you walked in this evening about, 8-10 years ago, I've knocked on his door campaigning, and I continue to knock on his door every year. And a number of residents at Whitmore Estates and Whitmore Highlands. And I just don't feel comfortable moving this forward or giving you the the ability to move forward without their input.
No,
That's just my personal opinion.
no, understood, and
Okay.
I could assure you that we will be meeting with the
We've got a
neighbors.
couple of alternatives.
Okay.
If it's your desire to withdraw the application or to reschedule this for another.
I like to reschedule it. Yes, I don't want to withdraw it. I like to, okay, yeah.
Let me finish.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
I'm an old guy, I like to finish my sentence.
Yes, you do, Mr. Mayor. Go on.
You only have a couple of options. If they want to postpone this thing for a period of time at their option, then all we would have to do is put this back on and probably put it on a consent agenda one way or the other.
No, not a consent.
No, that's right, you're right, okay. But the alternative to that is put a motion on, go one way or the other. But what I'm going to suggest to you is that the movement to 4 is the line that starts all of that process. But I mean, if the applicant is willing to take a couple of weeks and, we can do this, is there a time frame on this? When is the,
Joe, is there a time frame on this?
There is a proposed public hearing date of March, early March.
in March?
And so the city council, in order for you to have a position at that hearing, you need to take action on it at this meeting or the next meeting.
Well, how about we wait for the next meeting, and it gives you some time, at least, 2 weeks or so, to reach out to those HOAs and see if you can get an audience with those gentlemen.
Well, the only way you could do
people.
that is you could table this for 2 weeks.
Well, I like to.
Wait a minute. Can you spend some time with them in that period of time? I mean, is it a worthwhile exercise for you?
It would be worthwhile, yes.
Okay.
I mean, that's our intention.
All right, your options are move for approval or to table?
It's just as far as coordinating with the different HOAs and so forth, moving to the next step, we get the addresses and so forth from Park and Planning.
Okay. And city staff has all of that information as far as the HOAs and the presidents, and then getting you in front of those 3 different communities. I would really strongly recommend you doing that, and if we could table this. I just don't feel comfortable moving forward or giving you guys the ability to move forward without their input.
All right, your next meeting is February 19th.
Okay, could we then reschedule this for February 19th? And for the record, again, I want to say I love churches. I love my residents too.
Hey, all right, come on, we don't need the extra editorial.
Yes. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, we can schedule it anytime you like. Just put the
Okay.
motion on the table, then we'll do so.
Yes, I'd like to move to table this to our February 19th, giving the applicant time to meet with the local HOAs.
Second?
Yes.
All right, any question on the motion? All in favor? All right. Oh, wait a minute, all right, before we vote. Dr. Trout?
I just need to make sure that the applicant
Oh,
knows
okay,
that
all right.
other communities
All
need
right,
to be
here's what
involved.
we're going to do. We're going to table this, for 2 weeks, give them an opportunity to have a conversation with the community, but when it comes back, we're going to vote one way or the other.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
All right,
Sounds
thank
good.
you guys very much. I appreciate your
Thank you.
participation. And thank you guys.
Hold
Dr. Trout, do you
Who
have
seconded the motion? I lost count here.
1 and 2?
I did.
Okay,
He made the motion, he
Made the
seconded.
motion, I second.
okay. And it was
Dr. G
a
and Dr. T.
6-0 unanimous?
Unanimous.
Okay.
And unanimous.
All right, you had a comment, and then we're going to get out
Yes.
of here.
Also like for you to contact the residents from Ashley Station in Ashley. They frequently,
forgot about that.
those communities butt up against Woodmore Estates, and Driftwood is a main thoroughfare, and so these residents are constantly going down there. And so you need to contact them also. And I don't know if you're aware of it, but what is it? Mount Oak Road goes from like a four lanes
Right.
to 2 lanes as you come out of Driftwood. I'm very much concerned about the extra traffic. And you know that the school bus depot is right there by the railroad tracks, which is almost adjacent to Woodmore Estates.
Yes.
So we got some potential things that we need to address there.
Understood.
Okay.
Understood. Yes.
See you on the
All right.
19th.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank everyone for coming out this evening. I'd like to move to adjourn.
Second.
Who seconded? Mr. Wilson? Any question on the motion? All in favor?
Yeah, all right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Was that?